behalf of my delegation, our sympathy for the loss and trauma caused in yesterday's attack in London. I'm thankful to the High Commissioner for Human Rights for his report on the situation of human rights in Afghanistan and on the achievements of technical assistance in the field of human rights in my country. Afghanistan is at a critical juncture with both remarkable achievements and imposing challenges. It's more than 2 years now that Afghanistan has gone through a triple transition of political, economical, and security, pushing the country to its limit. We are the frontline state in the first line of defense against terrorism. This is not a fight that we are doing just for our own rights and liberty. We are engaged in a fight for the security of the world. Mr. President, the report of the High Commissioner for Human Rights indicated a high level of civilian casualties from conflict-related violence last year, the majority of which was attributed to anti-government elements. Only last year, we have lost thousands of civilians, including children, teachers, medical staff, judges, university students, journalists, parliamentarians, community and religious figures, revealing Afghanistan's enormous sacrifices in the global fight against terrorism and violent extremism. We carry this battle on behalf of the world. We have to succeed this battle together and making history in defeating this century's largest threat. In January, 3 simultaneous terrorist attacks in Kabul, Kandahar, and Helmand provinces killed and injured over 160, including our honored guests, the diplomats of the United Arab Emirates. In February, our Supreme Court was attacked, leaving behind numerous fatalities. 2 weeks ago, more than 140 medical staff and patients were killed and injured when the country's largest hospital was attacked. Our investigation have declared that the attacks were organized, financed, and sponsored outside our territory with composite methods and intricate intelligence. Mr. President, Afghanistan's prolonged conflict is a result of triple realities: violent extremism, illicit narcotics, and state-sponsored terrorism. The fact behind state-sponsored terrorism can be realized by quoting some of the former and current Pakistani officials. General Pervez Musharraf, who led Pakistan for 8 years as president, proudly commented in a 2015 interview with the Guardian newspaper that, quote, Pakistan's inter-service intelligence, ISI, had given birth to the Taliban to counter Indian action against Pakistan, unquote. Last year, Mr. Sartaj Aziz, advisor to the Prime Minister on Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, went on record to say that Taliban leaders reside in Pakistan and that they have influence over them. Moreover, last month, Hussain Haqqani, the Pakistani leading South Asia expert and former ambassador of Pakistan to Sri Lanka and the United States, published in a paper of the Hudson Institute, disclosed that, quote, after 15 years of US pursuing engagement and providing significant aid to the country, Pakistan has not altered its support for terrorist groups, unquote. And therefore, the paper recommends to the US that, quote, present to Pakistan a list of calibrated actions for ending its support to the Afghan, Taliban, and Haqqani network, and make clear that failure to make substantial progress on these steps could eventually result in Pakistan's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism, unquote. Mr. President, Afghanistan believes that there cannot be a distinction between good and bad terrorists. As long as a distinction is made, we are all defeated. The recent attacks on a hospital in Kabul, as well as attacks in the shrine in Pakistan's Sindh province, serve as unmistakable proof that terror spares no boundaries and targets, and that the deceptive classification of good and bad terrorists cost the lives of countless civilians in Pakistan. Afghans nonetheless share sorrow and pain with the Pakistan people for the loss of civilian and trauma caused by those attacks. I want to reiterate the fact that Afghanistan remains committed to a state-to-state cooperation with Pakistan based on the principle of mutual respect and non-intervention that could benefit not only two nations, but the entire region. Afghanistan remains dedicated to an inclusive peace process and would like to see the commitment of previous several talks are fulfilled on the side of Pakistan before convening further talks. Mr. President, to reduce civilian casualties, the Afghanistan government implements the national policy on civilian casualty mitigation and the related action plan. This includes clear objectives and measures to prevent casualties and conflict-related harm to civilians. To us, underage recruitment and use of children for military activities is a violation of child rights, and our government persistently condemns it. The expansion of Child Protection Unit in the police recruitment centers within the Ministry of Interior is an action to prevent underage recruitment. The government is committed to the international juvenile justice standards, and the child-specific provisions and adequate resources are included in the Afghan peace and reconciliation process. Creating and sustaining safe schools is of utmost priority. We believe that the answer to violent extremism and terror is to ensure girls and boys all over the country attend a decent education. Mr. President, Afghanistan is remarkably different with regards to women's political participation compared to other countries in the region. The government has affirmed its commitment to women's role in the governance, peace, trade, and economy. In particular, in the legislation domain, election law published last September that has a provision of at least 25% of seats for women representatives in the provincial and district councils. In addition, in December 2016, the Senate approved the law on the elimination of harassment against women and children. In judiciary reforms, last October, a Deputy Attorney General dedicated to the area of violence against women was created, which enhances the institutional capacity and priority focus to the area of violence against women. Notably, the High Peace Council, who carries peace talks in February 2016, has assigned a female deputy. She is a senior woman representative in the peace process. I want to take this opportunity, Mr. President, to thank all countries, friends and allies who show continued resolve in their support to Afghanistan for it to become sustainable and peaceful. The NATO summit in Warsaw last July and the Brussels Conference on Afghanistan this past October were platforms where commitment for continued resolute support and development assistance to Afghanistan were made and partnerships were renewed. We thank you all for that. Thank you very much, Mr. President.